Hello. Welcome to Three at the Back, the FA Cup final preview, which I think Jide's the most excited about.
Oh, yeah. Who's saying?
Guys, how are we doing? How's your week's been?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Football's always on. Never ends. Getting a bit much now, isn't it? For being honest.
I'm glad you said it because I felt nuts.
And I bloody love it. And there's so much. It's too much.
Yeah, it's unbearable, isn't it?
Can't be having games at like 2:00 on a Tuesday, a working Tuesday.
Lots of exciting, consequential games this week. We'll get to that.
But yeah, I found it like thinking about this season and the complete ludicrousness of the fixtures that we're never going to have this again. Because obviously it'll be spread out over like an extra 2 months or whatever. So we're gonna have nights where there isn't football, and I don't know what to do.
I can speak to my girlfriend or something. Well, I'm gonna pretend like I watch I don't know, Burnley Sheffield games anyway. But yeah, I can chat to a mate or speak to my girlfriend.
But genuinely, there will be people. I mean, maybe someone who's in the top right corner of the screen who's watched basically a game every day for the last, 250 days or something?
Yeah, something getting close to that. Yeah, I'll just have to go back to my normal thing of just listening to music in a darkened pub on my own.
I really thought you were going to say your room.
No, I'll get outside now, when we're allowed out.
No, he gets out of the place. He just goes into another dark place. It's a wonderful balance. Right, let's move on to lighter things. FA Cup final. Liam, your mighty Blues. Chelsea have got Leicester. I guess first off, how are you feeling about it? Are you excited? Are you not bothered? Like, what's the general vibe with Chelsea at the moment?
At the moment, just don't really, not particularly bothered. But I think on the day, I'll be absolutely crap. It's more like
it's a good thing you watch so much football.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what to expect. One, don't get too excited. You never get too, downtrodden about it. Maybe.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, on the day I'll be like, nervous as anything. But, hopefully, we'll win. It'd be good for Brendan Rodgers if he could win. I'll like, to have a bit of balance, bit of Billy balance in there. It'd be nice for Brendan Rodgers to win something south of the border. But I don't know. Chelsea on the day, if everyone's playing at their full tilt, Chelsea can beat them. But it's if they do.
How much of an effect do you think the Arsenal result, which we'll go to a bit later on, but how much do you think that result last night will have on the game on Saturday?
I don't think it will have any sort of effect on the game on Saturday. I think everyone's too. Like we've just been saying, there's so much football going on. You don't have time to let things even become a problem. It's they barely get their heads down and then they're back up again preparing for the next game. So, the same way beating City last week has no effect on the Champions League final. I don't think losing to Arsenal midweek has an effect on what happens on Saturday.
That's a good point, actually. And also, I completely forgot that Chelsea played City about 4 days ago. That shows how ridiculous it is. Jide, obviously, that mistake from Jorginho yesterday.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. Obviously, is one of those things that can happen. Do you think you should go panic stations and not play Jorginho? Because Kepa seems to be the goalkeeper for the cup run. So do you think, and I think actually it's safe to say Jorginho didn't have his best game anyway, but do you think you stick with Jorginho or do you look at other options for Saturday?
What are the options in that? Like, that is not the position where they have like a wealth of options, is it?
That's fair. That is also fair.
So I think you stick with the world-class player who made an error. I think maybe err on the side of not being reactionary for once as football fans.
But it's fun being reactionary, isn't it?
It is. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, I think it's Kante out as well.
Well, he's 50-50 at the moment, apparently, with an Achilles issue.
Maybe stick with Jorginho, guys.
Yeah, I think
who else would you put in the middle, Liam?
That's what you've got, really. So you've got you got Gilmore. So at the moment, there's just the three sort of pure centre mids, as in, Kante, Jorginho, and Gilmore, because Kovacic is still a doubt. He might be ready for next week, but definitely not for the weekend. So I think you just play. I think even an injured Kante, I think at the moment is better than putting Gilmore back in. I think Gilmore and Jorginho, whilst not being completely similar, do have similarities in which.
Didn't Gilmore play quite well though?
He did. No, he did. But they're very similar players where you can't really have two of them. You need, when you've got, the aforementioned double pivot, you need one that's going to break forward a bit more. And both of them like to sit back and dictate a bit more quarterback-ish.
So the way I feel about it is I feel like Kante, Jorginho can do that. I think he can be a little more expansive and expressive if needs be. I see Gilmore as like a proper 4 or 6. I don't know what the numbers mean, but he's like a defensive midfielder, like an old school defensive midfielder. So I think it's possible. I think it's workable, but it depends. Like risking Kante when there's a Champions League final coming up seems rash.
It is a tricky one because, as we've said before, Kante's very good at playing both sides of Jorginho because he's that quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if it just shows the instinct that you have when you got a Champions League final 2 weeks later or whatever it is, even though it is the domestic cup final, it's very much play safe with Kante, which I find. I mean, but I would do the same thing, but it's a very interesting balance. The other injury concerns for Chelsea going into this at centre back, Christensen looks like he lost a hamstring when he tried to stay catching up Gabriel Jesus, and Rudiger again is seems to be a late decision. Are you content with Zuma, Liam, if he stays? If it's him, Silva, and Azpilicueta?
Yeah, I mean, they don't offer as much as, say, if you did have Rudiger and Christensen there because they've been so good when they've been there. But the others can, Azpilicueta can play anywhere along that back line. Maybe not given the 9 out of 10s that the others do, but I think you just have to play what you've got. I know it sounds like such an easy thing to say, but these players have all played in the position they played in. They've all won games. They've all been part of squads that have, in the past couple of months, that have won these difficult games. And, Azpilicueta's got fantastic experience, and
there's no one you really have to worry about.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you've got the person there in the middle that can dictate, like Thiago Silva, I think it'll be all right. And I think Kante's better than they're making out. I think he will be ready for the weekend. Well, I certainly hope so. But it's just, one loss to Arsenal, a couple of injuries. We've had injuries. Like Rudiger's actually the only person that's been missing from both our losses. So it'll be important maybe.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah, considering before he was sort of persona non grata under Lampard, and Tuchel's been the main man, especially on the left-hand side of that back three. But I think Zuma can play there. Azpilicueta can literally play anywhere on the back line. So, yeah, I wouldn't really be worried about that.
I think the advantage of actually having Azpilicueta in one of the centre-back positions means that you can use Reece James, right? So you're more of a threat going the other way. Whereas when you play that back five almost with Azpilicueta, it is quite defensive. It doesn't feel as expansive as they could be. Talking of being expansive, the front three. Obviously, Tuchel has rotated a lot of them across every game. Do you know what are your thoughts on Havertz, Werner, Pulisic? Who are you picking in your front three?
I think, having said that, they should rest Kante, I still think you have to go with what you've gone with all season if you trust them. I think it's a cup. It's a cup. A cup win means more than a lot of things to most fans, and it's one that you can really win. Whereas going on to the Champions League game, I'm not sure how possible that is. I think the game at the weekend. How many days ago was it? The City game.
It was on Saturday.
The weekend. Yeah, I think that is not indicative of at all of what we're going to see in the Champions League final. So I think you win what you can in front of you, like right now, and you play as strong a team as you can without completely risking the Champions League game. So having said that, I pick Havertz and I pick Werner.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Pulisic's been quite impressive recently, but it feels like when you get to the big game, you still go for Werner and Havertz, right?
Yeah, I think so. Like, so when the say so, if we're going to go back to study sort of the games that just gone, you sort of notice Werner gets a really tough time for the amount of chances he misses, but he's getting in those positions. It seems a weird thing to say, but he's getting in those positions to miss. He's really bursting through. Pulisic has been good, but I think Werner's been involved in the most amount of goals for sort of per player. So hopefully he comes in. Havertz, I still would actually play up top, and then I'd have Mount next to them. That being said, Mount did have a pretty poor game against Arsenal. Didn't sort of do his normal game. Thomas Partey did play, I thought, quite well, keeping a lot of them, and Elneny actually. I think Arsenal deserve a lot of credit for defending deep. I mean, admittedly, they barely made any chances going forward, but they kept Chelsea at bay, and I think with Werner there, maybe they could have stretched him a bit more.
Alluding to Elneny and Partey, I agree they had a pretty good game actually as sort of the double sitters. It feels like that's probably what Leicester are going to do with Ndidi and Tielemans. I mean, they could just literally, Brendan Rodgers could just point to what Arteta did and go, we could give this a go, lads. The big boost for Leicester is it looks like Johnny Evans is going to be fit. So putting him in that back three with Fofana and Soyuncu either side, I think that's quite solid. I think the only interesting debate for Leicester is who they put in behind Vardy and Iheanacho. So Maddison was dropped for their win against Manchester United's reserves on Tuesday. It was a win, and you got to, cliche, you got to beat what's in front of you. But they did a great job against the second string United team. Do you think Maddison should start, or do you think you just go solid and just get Perez to do the defensive running?
Again, I think Leicester have little to nothing to play for left this season. I think you have to give it a go, and I think you have to play Maddison, especially if you're going to tell Ndidi and Tielemans to play that more defensive role, which I think they have better personnel to do so than like Arsenal did in the week. I think you play Maddison and you try and actually play some football.
Liam, are you worried about Leicester's attack?
Yeah, of course. Especially, I'd be less worried if they had Perez. I think with Maddison, obviously you said Perez offers more industry, but they've got industry up top anyway. They've got, with Vardy and Kelechi and Nacho, they've got they're a handful. I mean, they're like the same I was saying about Werner. Like defenders will be looking to not give them too much space behind them, so automatically they're going to want to drop a bit deeper. No matter how good people can get coached, they're going to be worried, especially with, Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva, not the quickest, not the youngest, and you wouldn't fancy either of them against Vardy or Iheanacho.
No.
So yeah, I'd be more worried if Maddison was there. He can have a really bad game and not be in a game, but he's just got that moment. He's got that killer pass in him, thread it through to, and we're talking about Leicester at the beginning of the season when it was just Vardy. Like Iheanacho is in red hot form, and Vardy's turned, goal provider rather than goal scorer. So I think it's a really dangerous attack against. And with Johnny Evans comes back, I think it's going to be, there's a reason why they've been third for basically the whole season. Yeah. They're a good team, and I don't think it talks about in the in the big six, as it were. But past 2 years, they've been as good as any of them.
Yeah.
Better than half, I imagine.
And they've got like lots of industriousness with like Tielemans and Ndidi just behind. So I think you can carry a player like, if Madison has one of those games where he goes missing a little bit, you can carry that for a little bit and like make this. You can push the decision down the road essentially.
No, I completely agree. My only worry with Leicester is Tielemans has looked quite tired the last few weeks. He's not as like towards when the first half of the season he was getting up the pitch and doing really nice interplay with whoever was right wing back and then with the striker to then open it up. He's not done that as much in the last couple of weeks, and I worry that it could be that he's saving it for Wembley. Who knows? But like it just feels like that's a bit of an issue, and the same with Ndidi. Like the energy that he's been exerting for the whole season, that he's doing a similar role to Kante, isn't he? Like just winning and just shuttling across the pitch as quickly as possible. That's going to impact on you when you're trying to fit a whole season into 6 months or whatever. Okay, let's go to predictions then. Jide, I'm going to come to you first. What are you going for?
Chelsea win it on penalties.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that'd be good.
Who's going to miss the penalty?
Johnny Evans.
Oh, that's sad. Oh, that's sad.
He's won enough.
Okay, Liam.
Yeah, I think Chelsea 2-1, 90 minutes. Close one though.
Yeah, it's a close one, I think.
Okay. See, in the run up to it, I just have assumed it's Chelsea's. This is Chelsea's cup. Do I go all, positive and think Leicester are going to? No, I'm going Chelsea. I just think they've got too many options off the bench. I think that's the thing. It could be quite solid, and if you start with Havertz and Werner, and then you just completely flip it up with Pulisic and Ziyech, that's Leicester don't have that, do they? They've got Albrighton and Luke Thomas. Like it's not that. I think that's the issue. Is
great players. Yeah,
but you know what I mean. Like in terms of really changing it up and trying to change the structure of the opposition, I just don't think Leicester have it. I think the other good thing to mention is obviously there's going to be fans in the stadium. We don't have fake crowd noise for this game.
Oh, I love fake crowd noise though. It's so
Yeah,
fun.
I think the only thing I like is the fact that when it's missed, you don't get that fake. You literally get the straight away rather than the
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the ironic cheers again because they never got that with the fake noise, did they? That was what they were missing. They needed they needed someone to shank it wide and just the really sarcastic like "Way!"
or the ref falls over or something.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't have that in, whereas at least we're going to get those noises back.
This is very true.
And yeah, I think, and let's just hope that VAR doesn't get involved, eh?
Oh, let's hope it does.
It goes to penalties. The amount of times it's going to be Kepa's feet coming off the line too soon.
Oh, that is such a good point. Well, that's if Kepa's allowed to be in goal for the penalties. Sarri didn't want him to do that last time round, did he? So
you can't take him off. He's at Wembley. It's his, he decides what happens at Wembley.
Yeah, you want to destroy all of that man's confidence. Yeah, you take him off before penalties.
Oh man, the poor bloke. Right, let's. Obviously, there's a small issue of the Premier League and we now have an official winner. Man City won because of Leicester's win, like I said, over Manchester United's reserves on Tuesday. So, with the kind of season that we've had and the intensity of it, and let's be honest, I think we all thought that this was Liverpool's in the bag when we got to about October. How impressive for you, Jide, is this title win for Pep?
He's pretty good at managing football teams, isn't he? I don't. He's got a great squad, and he's Pep Guardiola. It's difficult to quantify at this stage. It's a really expensive squad, and it's a really good squad, but he's also Pep Guardiola. I don't know what to do with that. I don't know how to pass his performance from like the millions and millions of pounds, the hundreds of millions of pounds they spent.
No, that is absolutely fair. Okay, I'll flip it a different way for Liam. What has impressed you the most this season about City?
I mean, it's just got to be their defensive solidity, which has just been completely missing from any sort of Guardiola team. You know, the fact that they've actually defended well without the ball at times. So rather than just keeping possession, there've been a few games where they haven't even had most of the ball, which is unheard of under Pep, isn't it? So I think it's just obvious that Ruben Dias going in there, you know, telling Stones what to do, it's been incredible, right? But also, I'd add to like Jide's point, when it comes to the money spent, they spend loads of money, and they spend loads of money on like, you know, players they don't even use, you know, Nathan Ake and things like that. But they do have. There's a reason they spend it. Like they've got Guardiola, who is a top class manager. Because you can spend all this money and win the square root of F4. Like it's been done in the past.
United.
Yeah, Man United, PSG on the European stage is what they care about, you know, and it's maybe even on the domestic scale this year, you know, it's going to dive over there. But I think they're just a bit slid. I don't know if Pep will like this more. The fact he's done it a different way. I don't know how his mind works. I think, you know, I'm pretty weird, but he's an absolute weirdo. Like
I was going to say, on that second question, I actually do have an answer.
Okay.
I think it's very impressive that Pep has managed to not psych himself out. He's managed to find a balance between constantly challenging like a squad of players who must be bored of winning, but not self-destructing the team by like, you know, not playing strikers, which is weird. Who knew? But yeah, he's managed to figure out a balance between those two things, and I think that's actually really pretty remarkable.
Yeah, he has got one game left though. He's got one important game left. Is it going to be like a big finale kind of, you know, Walker's up top?
It's just him hovering over the button like,
yeah, actually plays Eric Garcia.
Play John Stones instead of Raheem Sterling.
I mean, the thing is, it's like, but it feels like he's held it back. And, you know, it's almost like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And then he's almost like verbal diarrheaed it for that Chelsea game on Saturday where he played, which I think it was a 3-1-3-3, I think, or something stupid like that they ended up doing. Now, that could be because he was actually overthinking it and just didn't want to show Thomas Tuchel what he's going to do in the Champions League final.
Yeah, I think that's a complete red herring.
Or he just completely lost the plot because he thought the title was in the bag and just went, yeah, we'll just Rodri, can you cover 80 yards on your own, please? Is that right?
Also, just trying something out ahead of, like, he hasn't got to play Tuchel that many times this season.
Yeah.
So just trying something out.
That's fair.
Ahead of the Champions League final.
With the you alluded to the no strikers thing, and obviously this is a very hipster football manager-esque approach, right? The question has always been doing around since Messi played as the false nine at Barcelona. Do you think the system that he's now got with typically two wingers and like four midfielders intertwined to make a sort of a false nine mix, do you think this is something that he can take going forward next season and that is the City formation? Or do you think it came out of necessity this season and he'll resort to type with a striker going forward?
I think he can do. I think Pep could make almost anything he wants to work. I think you'll want a plan B, hence them pursuing Harry Kane and Haaland and players like that so heavily. Like you would, like an actual focal point for your defender to go after is quite nice sometimes. But I think it can be done. I'm not sure anyone else can do it.
No.
But yeah, I think it can definitely be done.
In terms of players that have stood out this season, then, Liam, who would you say has been the most impressive? Obviously, you've alluded to Diaz. Would you go for him as player of the season, or would you go for anybody else?
What, in Man City? Or
just Man City for now.
Yeah, you can't look past Ruben Dias. I mean, he's been incredible. Ferran Torres at the beginning of the season was very good. Weirdly, so on the opposite to that, Bernardo Silva's not had the impact I thought he would.
Hmm.
I thought he'd really step up because previous seasons he's been so good. I think he's been a bit quiet this year, and maybe like Mahrez and obviously Foden's come to the fore.
I was going to say Mahrez has popped up in really big moments.
So yeah, no, that's fine. But like Diaz for me, like it just has to be him because of the way they've started playing. Like,
yeah, I think that's fair. You said about Mahrez. I mean, he seems to be one of those players that has just managed to pull things out in key moments. Like, when he was at Leicester, it was very much the team was built around him, and he was almost free to do what he wanted. Whereas City's had to go into the most complex system, arguably, in world football, and he's still able to be Mahrez, which is impressive, isn't it?
Did he? I think he started playing at a really low level, right? And I think you have to learn to adapt when you're like a player of that, like that starts at that sort of level. And I think it shows like his ability to work hard and his ability to understand like football, like a fundamental level, as well as just like just a great attitude. Yeah, nothing bad to say about Mahrez at all. He's done great things this season.
I think they also shout for Cancelo. I think Cancelo's been really impressive this year, like just because of his versatility. When he was at Juventus, it was very much just he was an attacking fullback, and Juventus didn't know what to do with him because they just assumed their defenders defend. Whereas now he's playing right back, left back. Obviously, he's one of these infamous fullbacks that goes into centre midfield when they're further up the pitch and everything like that. But I think he's been really impressive. 2 more questions on this. The first one. Do you think they need to buy anyone or to improve next season? And if so, who?
I honestly just think a striker. I just think one serviceable, like, box striker, just as a plan B. Just as, like, there's teams against whom you want to play, but like, I just think it works better. But yeah, I can't really see them improving as such.
Fair. Liam?
I think they probably should get a striker, but I think because, the way he is, I just don't think he will. I think maybe another proper just centre mid, like actual centre mid who doesn't get up the pitch. He's like another Fernandinho-esque, because no one's going to be quite like him, but someone who can do a job alongside Rodri, because 2 injuries and they're back to Gundogan in the middle of the park on his own. So I think centre mid.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The only other one I'd say is left back, because I still don't know if I trust Zinchenko or Mendy.
But they've got Aki to come back there.
That's true.
That is true.
That's true.
Play there.
But can Aki do the job? Like is he a converted centre back? Right.
He literally is like a half and half. Like
yeah. Right. Can he do the job of getting up and down? Is all I was wondering.
He used to at Watford, and then he sort of did for Bournemouth. He kind of didn't get up the pitch much, but he did play left back a fair amount.
Right. Interesting.
I suppose it depends.
Yeah.
If he comes back from his injury.
I've got one final City related question for you both. Obviously, this is 3 titles in 4 years. I think we're going to use the D word, dynasty. It's getting close. Who do you think can challenge them next year, or who do you think are the biggest threats?
Ooh, I don't know. That's an
obvious one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be Liverpool coming back. Maybe they've sorted things. I know Van Dijk's basically said he's not playing in the Euros because he wants to focus on domestic football. Maybe Chelsea under Tuchel. Another an actual pre-season with him. Another year with the signings we got last summer. And then you'd like to think someone else, like no one even thinking Man United because it is because of Ollie. But I think the league, as long as there's like 3, rather than for the past couple of years, it's just been the 2, isn't it? Ever since probably about 4 years since they first started, they went on this Pep Guardiola inspired cleaning up all the trophies. It's just been them and Liverpool a bit, and no one's got near them.
I was going to say those two are so far out ahead. I'm not even like I'm not even bothered about there not being free because they're so far out ahead, like above like most teams in Europe. Like frankly, it's yeah. We're living in a golden age.
Be interesting to see if Liverpool can pull it back though, because they've unravelled, completely unravelled this year. Can they get back to where they were though and challenge? I hope so. I hope someone can. I hope someone can get up there.
I feel like for me, it feels like Chelsea have more of a chance than Liverpool. I don't know why. They say that at the top end, real top end of football, teams go on like a 3-year cycle, right? And like Liverpool, this is the end of the 3-year cycle, that they're going through with. I mean, obviously they've been unfortunate with defensive injuries, but like, Mane's admitted he's had the worst season of his career. Salah and Firmino are getting older. Like, I think it's a really important summer for Liverpool in terms of freshening it up, because I don't think they can rely on those three anymore because they're getting a bit older and it just seems a little bit more disjointed. You've got like Wijnaldum and Henderson, who again, late 20s, early 30s. Thiago as well, same age. It just seems like they could end up in this position where they've got a lot of old blokes and a couple of youngsters, if you know what I mean.
I do agree with the like overall premise that like they are aging and they are starting to age out of like championship like contention. But I take a bit of an issue with the like criticism of Sane this season. And I was speaking to Liam, like I think when you were getting a drink, about Sterling as well. I think those two particularly have got some like pretty unfair criticism this season. Like they dipped just below the level of being like elite, and like all of a sudden people want to act like they're not great players. So yeah, that's the only thing I wanted to raise.
It's just because they set the bar to say. I mean, to be fair, with Mane, it was he said he believes he's had the worst season. I'm a huge fan of Mane. I prefer him to Salah, to be honest. But I just think it's interesting that like Chelsea feel like the one just because of how solid they are tactically. It feels like if they can get another creative player in there and maybe a striker.
I was going to say they also need a striker.
Yes, because obviously, Giroud's going, isn't he? And it seems to be the case that Tammy's going to go. Yeah, so they can't rely on Havertz.
Incredibly odd.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I don't understand why you've got a young, talented striker who always scores. Yeah,
homegrown, important for registration rules. Like it's weird. It's a very odd one.
Yeah, I don't get it. Well, the champions are away tomorrow night to the mighty Newcastle. Steve Bruce, who looks like he's going to win Manager of the Month. Which is, I mean, you put your head in your hands. They've had an incredible run in the past few weeks. That 4-2 win away at Leicester. They've, apart from the slip up against Arsenal, they've had a pretty good run. I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to beat City or anything silly, but
I love that you just went slip up against Arsenal, as if that's like Arsenal may be a potential banana peel.
How the mighty have fallen.
It's great laughing at Arsenal. It's so much fun.
We could do some more laughing at Arsenal in a bit as well. I'm looking forward to that.
One of my favourite activities.
I think, to be fair, like I know we've taken the mick there about Steve Bruce, but I think we have to say that he's done. I think he's done a good job this season. They're staying up again. They've just been quite unfortunate with injuries and obviously COVID as well, right?
If he was Italian.
Oh, don't do that. No, don't do that.
Actually, no, to be honest, Steve Bruce isn't the kind of like, he doesn't have the Aladici arrogance about him. That's the thing, isn't it? Steve Bruce, everyone, by all accounts, everyone's like, oh, Steve Bruce seems like a nice chap. Everyone thinks he seems like a nice man. He probably is.
Yeah.
And everyone always goes, oh, he's doing everyone from outside Newcastle says, oh, he's doing all right job, isn't he? He's doing the right
best
job
with what he's given.
But people, the fans of Newcastle, and they're just sick of it. They're sick of everything in their club. You know what I mean? Like you do see recently, Man United get out of control. Yeah, but it's been like a decade of meh, nothing that inspiring. 8-year deal with Pardew, that kind of thing, over and over again. I personally, quite like Steve Bruce. Seems like a nice guy, doing all right job.
Yeah.
I'd have a pint with him at a pub.
Yeah. It was one step away from saying
that. Game, innit?
He doesn't seem like the terrible old man. He's not miserable. Like,
did you hear his social media comment was one of the best ones ever?
Oh, that was mind blowing.
He gets told, Jide, if you haven't heard this, he gets told by his son, he gets a lot of abuse, obviously, like managers do, things like that. And he was weighing up the pros and cons of social media abuse, talking about the blackout they had over that weekend just gone. And he was like, well, it's a powerful thing, and obviously, people being racist out of order. And he went, but on the flip side, social media did help me get my dog back. It ran away after being scared by fireworks. So, there is that.
That's fair. That's very fair. Yeah. You can't begrudge anyone for a personal story, a personal link to something. So, shout out to him.
Anecdotal evidence.
I'm glad you got your dog back.
I love the idea of Zuckerberg taking that and putting it up, being like, see, Brucey's got our back.
I wonder what his dog's called.
Colin.
Mark Hughes. Oh no.
Yeah, it's going to be something. You're right. It'll be alluding to. Oh, it's going to be Gary, isn't it, for Pallister?
Gary, Gallister.
Gallister. Right, let's move on to the top 4 battle, which is, is it a battle? This is going to be the debate that we'll have, but it seems like the only thing that is actually needs settling, with obviously the 3 relegated teams already confirmed, City winning the league, Manchester United look like they've got second sorted. So going into the last week of football, we've got, who do we say are in the mix? Leicester, Chelsea, West Ham and Liverpool. I guess the first question is, for me, I don't think you can underestimate this achievement for West Ham. To still be in the mix, the last week of football, it's hugely impressive from Moyes, isn't it?
It is. It's very impressive. I don't think they're in the mix, honestly. That's why I was waiting. I did not want to just undercut your whole intro. But yeah, it's really impressive. Well done.
I think look, for West Ham, I've said this before, I said it on previous streams, them getting in the Champions League would be incredible, but would it be productive for them? I don't think so. I think going in gradually to the Europa League or maybe the Europa Conference, however that pans out or something, but I think they're in a strong enough position to win, maybe one of the 3 games they got left or 2 even. So I think, to get into the Europa League, solidify, try and keep all their top class players. And it's been a fantastic season, and Mark Noble gets to play European football next year, and it's what we all want.
It's the only thing that, if there's any justice in this world, Mark Noble will get to play away in Tbilisi.
I'm literally searching Europa Conference teams now because that seems about the level Mark Noble should be playing at.
Mark Noble will be absolutely dictating the play and making Ronaldo run ragged in the Europa League. And that is what we all want to see.
He's going to score a penalty against Panathinaikos, isn't he, or something like that?
Oh, that'd be excellent.
He has the best penalty conversion rate in the Premier League era.
He did. Actually, you alluded to the games left, Liam. I'll quickly rattle them off. So Leicester have got 2 games left. They've got Chelsea and Spurs, which is, I'd say, probably the toughest. Chelsea have got, obviously, Leicester and Aston Villa. Liverpool have got Manchester United tonight, if the game actually happens. If those 2 cars have moved away from the bus, who knows? West Brom, Burnley and Palace. And then West Ham have got Brighton, West Brom and Southampton. Allardyce has a lot to go in this, and he could get really involved in this European battle, which is what he's always wanted, right?
He's the most important manager in England. It's quite clear. Yeah, he could play a really big role in this. And I can imagine how happy he would be to just ruin someone's day. He's just such a mean-spirited man. And I kind of love it.
So let's be serious. So Leicester got 66 points, Chelsea 64, West Ham 58 with a game in hand, Liverpool 57 with 2 games in hand. Now, as everybody knows, your game in hand, you immediately give yourself 3 points.
Just immediately. Yeah.
So that puts West Ham on to 61. And Liverpool, we're going to give them 6 points as well, because that's obviously how football works. So that puts them on 63. Who are you putting in the top 4, Jide?
Less than Chelsea for me.
Okay. And why is that? And why is that? Because obviously Leicester have the hardest run left with Chelsea and Spurs.
I'm not sure Spurs is a tough game. Let's be serious. And Chelsea have like a tough run of games to play. Like I keep alluding to, like at some point you need to start making allowances for like this FA Cup game, but also the Champions League game. So I think there's points for them to pick up, not easily, but like easier games than they look like they are. And then Chelsea have just been playing well.
Okay, Liam, who are you going for?
Yeah, I think so. If it's tonight, I think if Manchester United beat Liverpool and knock that automatic 3 points off, I think it stays the same. Either like Leicester and Chelsea, third or fourth, either or. I think that's the most likely one, because as with a few years now, like people seem to be falling over themselves to not finish in the top 4. Like the relentlessness of these games, everyone's looking a bit poor. It's who can be the most consistent. And you say Leicester have got the hardest running. Well, I'd argue that having 2 games to play and a bit of space, they got the FA Cup final, but a bit of space to play them in is a lot easier than Liverpool playing a game every 2 days. So that would be that's why I would say 2 games, no matter who you're playing against, are a lot easier and a lot more winnable than 4 games and the catching up of the points that they need to do. So that's why I think tonight's a really crucial game.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jide?
No. That was it. You said it.
I think the 2 determining factors for me are, this game tonight. If Liverpool get a win, and the other obvious one is the Chelsea-Leicester game, as in the Premier League game. Because if Chelsea win that, I mean, that is, ready for cliche, that is squeaky bum time for the Foxes, isn't it? Because if Liverpool win that, they get the momentum from winning, against their biggest rivals, to then it just feels like Leicester could completely fall apart if they lose to Chelsea within the space of twice in 4 days or whatever it is. And Rodgers loves a bottle, right? He's bottled it twice, 3 times in the Premier League.
I didn't know we were relying on lazy cliches, Adam. You sound like a real pundit. You were like the Foxes, and then like.
We got to get one line in, right?
Yeah, he does. He has a history of bottling. I suppose. New Spurs manager.
But I mean, also bottle. I've never seen. I don't know whether you guys have seen this before, but I've never seen the instance of being a bottler attributed to a manager. I've seen players. They sometimes hide in big occasions. I've never seen a manager being called a bottler.
Not a bottler, but Pep. It's not it's not completely.
Yeah, that's fair. In all the semi-finals that he lost with Bayern. Yeah, but that's because he overthought, didn't he?
He's too smart. He's bored.
I was saying Brendan
too good. He's too good.
No. That's what I was alluding to by just saying he's bored. He's just like, you guys are rubbish at this management thing. Like, figure it out, guys. I need a challenge.
If Leicester do not make the top 4 and lose the FA Cup final, where do they I mean, this is a genuine question. Where do they go from here? Because obviously they'll be in Europa League, and I find it a really interesting situation. Is because if you said it at the start of the season, here we go, cliche. Start of the season, you said he finished 5th in FA Cup final. I'll bite your arm off. But at the same time, to be so close to like top tier success and not get it, it's gonna be a real killer, isn't it?
It is. Also, you were talking about the end of cycles recently, right? And Vardy has to be coming close to the end of playing at this level at some point. There's a couple of older players in there, like Johnny Evans will not be this good. Like, yeah, I think it's do or die time essentially, and the guaranteed money from like the Champions League next season will change the way the transfer season goes, the transfer period goes. So yeah, I think it's a really pretty pivotal time, more in the league than with the FA Cup game, but yeah.
Yeah, because like you get into top 4, like this. Obviously, the FA Cup, it's in the history books, then, isn't it? Your top 4 finishes don't really get written down.
It's about tradition.
Well, it's about cups. It's about winning, isn't it? Essentially, but it's better for Leicester if they get top 4 and maybe don't. As a business, as cynical as that is, it's better. Like Jide says, it's better for them to have the money from Champions League than it is to win an FA Cup, which gets around 200 grand or something. I don't know the actual thing. I pulled that out, but
not even just as a business though. Like it directly impacts what you can spend next season, right? And the players you can attract. So it's better for you as a football club.
Yeah, true.
And
maybe
also,
maybe Abraham to that. Maybe Abraham there.
It's a good shout. I mean, and also Leicester typically do sell one big player a season, right? And they just eke as much money out of the club that desperately want to buy him as possible, right? 80 million for Maguire, 55 for Mahrez or whatever it was. It feels like chances are one of the Leicester's players will go. So if they get into Champions League, obviously that really helps them out in terms of replenishing the squad. Right, let's move on to the other. I mean, let's be honest, it's probably the big battle left in the Premier League, the battle for the Europa Conference spot.
Exciting. Between
Everton, Spurs and Arsenal. Everton are always destined to finish 7th no matter what. And there is still a chance somehow, which is that Arsenal finish above Spurs this season.
That's utterly ridiculous.
I don't know what to say about it, to be honest. So could someone help?
The reason I said that is just based on like Arsenal being like, try not to swear.
I'll just go for it.
Just constantly dog shit. And the heights at points that Spurs have reached this season. It's ridiculous that they're like similar positions, and speaks to the mismanagement of people who might manage in Italy next season. I just don't understand. I don't know whether I want to play in the conference league or finish below Arsenal. I don't know which one I want less.
That is a very good debate, isn't it? So your perfect situation then would be Everton 7th, Spurs 8th, Arsenal 9th.
Yeah, yes, please.
Wow, who would have thought that you were hoping for that?
It's a good thing though, because these clubs are like that. They really do just need to get on the training pitch, which is something they've not been able to do this year. Play teams like Arsenal, for Christ's sake, they desperately need it. I mean, whoever Spurs end up getting in, probably the less time on the training pitch with Ryan Mason, the better, I imagine. I can't imagine. He's not top level. He's 29 years old.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's done that badly.
No,
he hasn't been great, but he hasn't done that badly.
No, but you know what I mean? You don't go, we basically, we don't want anything else to focus on other than the domestic stuff next year with Ryan Mason, drill master or whatever. It's not what he's not what he could be, but you want to be playing that week like on a Saturday, every day every week on the Saturday and then 4 or 5 days on the training pitch in again. You don't want to be playing in, to use a quote, Mickey Mouse Europa Conference. Like, what even is that? Is that a bowl? Like, what do you win? Like, you can imagine, like, you win it. What do you get? Like a spot into the Europa League next year?
I think it is.
I think you get a Zippo lighter. I think you get a Zippo lighter. I think
I genuinely
get to borrow it.
I genuinely think if you win the Europa Conference, you get a spot in Europa League. I think that's what.
Exciting times.
I think that's what it is.
It's good, like raise
get entry to playing bloody Red Star Belgrade.
Yeah,
you get instead of Partizan, you get to play. You get to play slightly later on a Thursday.
Yeah.
The prestige Thursday competition. Excellent.
Oh, you get to stop playing the Sparta teams in whatever country, and you get to then play the Slavia teams in that country.
Absolutely.
Or the Dynamos, and but it's like Tottenham and Arsenal don't want to be playing in that, do they?
No.
Of course they don't. Like, I know what Jide says here. He doesn't want to, North London is absolutely North London in like this year. They've both been incredibly poor. I think Spurs, considering I was thinking it, back in November, I thought, they could have beaten Liverpool and gone top of the table, and they looked the real deal for a small amount of time. They looked like they were the ones going to be pushing. And to just fall this sort of far, it's just, I think they're better off out of anything next year, reset, have a push for the Champions League again properly.
Yeah.
I mean, messing about with Thursdays and Sundays.
If they, obviously they're not in Champions League. If they're not in Europe, which I do agree in terms of from a club perspective, that's going to impact on Harry Kane and Son, though, right? Surely they're going to start getting itchy feet and wanting to move on to bigger clubs, right?
I think Harry Kane's pretty much made his decision regardless, so I'm not sure it's entirely important. As for Son, what is the value of having Son at the club if you don't have a centre forward? Get Troy Parrott in. Just let Troy Parrott play some games, and we've got money and spend it. Like, I don't think it's particularly important.
Well, just play Vinicius. Is he there permanently? He's not on loan, is he?
He is
on loan.
He's on loan.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, the problem the Spurs have had, right, is that with Harry Kane up front, no striker wants to go there because they know they're not going to play. Or they'll get like a 4-week run when Harry has his ankle injury.
Yeah, you don't even get a chance to challenge, do you?
No.
Because the man, I don't know if he demands it or what, but he plays 90 minutes every time he's fit. And even when he's not fit, he plays 90 minutes.
I was going to say, I think he demands it by ability and also just being ball-headed. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, just clear him out, get a new manager in. Speaking of cycles again, we are fully at the end of a cycle.
Yeah.
Like, that's what Poch was saying 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, and you haven't even let this on fully end. You've just eked it out for another season of get Mourinho in, let's win something, and there's just a lack. Yeah, like Jide says, it's lack of investment, isn't it? Like proper investment.
Yeah. The thing is, you didn't even need to invest. You just needed to sell some players. You just had to be willing to let things go. You didn't need to just spend money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right. And there is something to be said of getting whatever it is, 120, 130 million for Harry Kane.
Oh, just plus, like a little 120, 100.
But what I mean is get that money in, maybe sell off a couple of people on the fringes. Obviously, the money that you'd save from Bale's wages as well. Put that all into a pot.
I mean, that's only 250 grand a week. So, that's what I'm saying is that you didn't need to invest money. It's just bad decision making, over a long haul.
And just give that to a new manager who's as in a real forward-thinking manager that's got experience of building a team with young players and just
Maybe even get a director of football in.
Ooh.
Get someone from the continent that knows what they're doing.
Yeah, Spurs have, even though, you've got this massive stadium and stuff, you're now further behind in modern football structure than Man United.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
That's bad, isn't it?
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Right, let's move slightly further. Is it north or North London? I don't know. To be even more crap, which is Arsenal.
Oh no, they're from South London. Mate.
Oh, is it? Yeah, well, yeah. Don't start that. I meant more from a stadium perspective. This looks like it's going to be their worst season in 25 years, which is incredible. And the first time
league double over Chelsea, good stuff.
Interestingly, I was saying this to Liam before we started, that they're actually on the third best run of form since December in the whole league. So it shows how bad the first half of the season was. That this apparent third best run of form has taken them to 9th. With what are your thoughts on Arteta and what Arsenal should do this summer?
I do not know. I do not know. Is he good? I don't know. Doesn't seem to really control the players. In the. Does anyone care about? Is anyone scared of him?
I thought you were just like, does anybody care?
Does anyone Arsenal? We've all heard they just keep throwing out these silly money to the wrong players, wasting all their money up in this. Maybe sort of Spurs have done with Bale. You're not getting your sort of flesh worth from these players. You're spending.
Hopefully they'll spend a load of money and get someone else in the attacking third. That's what I'm hoping for them.
That's what they'll do. That's what they'll do. But I don't know if he's a good coach. They've let in less goals, so maybe he's a bit more pragmatic. But they've also scored far fewer less than they did under Emery. I just don't know what they want to be. I don't know what their shape is. Last night they just looked like they couldn't believe they got that goal. Smith Rowe did his best to miss it. And it's then they just sat back and closed up shop, and that's not the Arsenal we grew up sort of knowing, is it? But it was also the Arsenal before. So I don't think he's that great. Pep wax lyrical about him, but that's because he probably wanted to keep him.
I think I've been beating the drum about managers that played for the clubs they now manage at all season being kind of rubbish and a weird trend. But I can't even say that about him. He also doesn't have a functional squad. So I can't even say he's rubbish. I can't I don't know I know nothing. Arsenal have essentially skipped a season. Doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know what's going on. Let's hope they get a Mesut Ozil replacement.
They're still actually speaking of Ozil, they're still paying 95% of his wages.
Excellent.
Until the end of this season. So basically, they managed to get him off to Turkey, and they said you could pay 5% of his wages.
I love it.
And they did a crowdfunder for that over in Turkey as well.
Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, I agree as well about the squad situation with Arsenal. The building of that collection of players is absolutely mind-blowing. There's no logic. They've somehow stumbled back into Mohamed El Neni and Callum Chambers. There's no strategy in that club, is there? It's just, please don't go Aubameyang, and that's about it.
It's a FIFA 14 squad. I don't understand what's going on. It's like an ultimate team squad. It doesn't make any sense. It's just who are the fastest guys 4 years ago? Get them on pitch. It doesn't make any sense.
They've loaned out one of the most informed attacking midfielders in Joe Willock, and he's not playing for them. And they say he's had I think Joe Willock has had the most effect on the top four of any player, and he should be in Arsenal's team, shouldn't he? But at the moment, the only players I think you take out of that team would be Kieran Tierney, Bukayo Saka, and Emile Smith Rowe, and maybe Odegaard one every 2 games, kind of thing.
They're all very young. As a plus point, they're all very young.
Yeah, they are, but you need a mixture of experience, which isn't hot-headed Xhaka and Rob Holding and Callum Chambers. How old are they? I don't know. Were they bought as young people? I think they were.
They've always been 24.
It seems like that, but
They're younger than you, mate. I'll tell you that.
I could do a job there. I might as well put a red shirt on and go over there. I could do half the job.
I mean, to be honest, Arteta was playing Saka at right back last night. He was playing his left attacking midfielder at right back. I mean, that's obviously a compliment in a way to how good Saka is. Like, he will just put him in any position on the pitch. But yeah, I mean, let's be honest, it's a complete shit show, isn't it?
It's terrible.
So I think finally we need to just spend a tiny bit of time on the two teams that have had their relegations confirmed since we've last done a stream, which is West Brom and Fulham. West Brom, we've always thought, I think since we've been doing this, that they were going down, right? Mr. Aladici has lost his record of never being relegated out of the Premier League, which I love. It just knocks the ego a bit. Just brings him down a peg.
Sad for him. Very sad for him.
And then on a more solemn note is football's Mike Skinner, Scott Parker, has unfortunately taken Fulham down.
I wish we had a soundboard so you could play Dry Airs, mate. Just there. You need to get a soundboard.
Yeah, we need to work on that, don't we? Do you think either of those two are going to come back up? Or do you think they're just so bad that they're going back into the Championship abyss?
Well, Fulham have like 15 players on loan or something stupid, don't they?
Yeah, they got a lot.
I don't know what squad they come back up with. I haven't got to see many of their actual players this season, so who knows? Allardyce is a demon, and he will figure it out. if he chooses to say, he will figure out how to get them up. If he has to get and pitch and play, send it back himself, he will get them up.
Yeah, you're probably right. Liam, what are your thoughts? Do you think either of them have got a chance coming back?
I think they both got a really good chance. I think now, like, Allardyce has done it with West Ham. Because I was sitting there thinking he hasn't brought anyone up, apart from Bolton, but obviously, look far back, and he actually had a pretty long stint with West Ham, and part of that was in the Championship and getting them back up again. And I think he's got it in him. Yeah, like Jide says, he knows how to do things. And I think Scott Parker's the same. Like, Scott Parker took a load of players down, again, a load of players that were on loan that left, rebuilt a whole squad, came up again, and then they loaned in a loads more players, which is a bit strange. And I think they'll do the same again. I think you look at the Championship this year, two of the teams that went down the previous year are automatically up. Bournemouth are in the playoffs to do it again, and maybe there's like that separation now between the lower end of the Championship, the middle of the Championship, and the Premier League teams with the parachute payments that keep coming in. So I think they've both got a really good chance. Sheffield United, I feel, could go into absolute freefall. I think they could go down and down, and it looks bad for them.
Well, I mean, they were overstepping their abilities anyway, weren't they? That was why Chris Wilder was getting so much praise, because he had a Championship team and he took them to whatever it was, 10th in their first season and everything like that. I find it quite concerning that the teams that are relegated have so much of a good chance to come straight back up, and it's not just down to ability; it's the parachute payments. You can just see from Norwich. Like Norwich I think they've gone up with basically exactly the same points as they had the last time round. So it just shows the gulf in quality, even within the Championship.
In defense of those, because I did say that, but like the defense of those teams, they've realised that maybe a complete change. Like Watford always changed their manager, but Norwich stuck with Daniel Farker. They kept all their players. They were like, because they had those payments, they could be like, right, we can maybe give bumper wages to, Buendia and Campbell and the really good players that were being looked at.
Aaron's.
Aaron's, they kept all those together. Another year of chemistry. None of them are old, are they? So it's basically going down and not completely clearing house and going, everything's got to change because we've got relegated from the Premier League. They've kept it all together going, look, we got up like this, we went down like this, we can go up again and maybe try something different this time. And I think that's probably what teams like West Brom can probably do.
Money's quite important in football.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah.
Makes the world go round, to be fair. I'll give it that.
It's getting deep here.
Mm.
Right, let's move on to the other games that are actually happening this weekend in the Premier League. I'm going to rattle through them because I don't think we need to preview all of them because I don't think almost hardly any of these games actually have impact. And then you just shout at me if you want to talk about it. Burnley against Leeds. Yeah. Dice versus Bielsa is all I've got in that. Deitch, versus Bielsa. Anti-football versus total football. Southampton, Fulham. I've got literally nothing to contribute to that whatsoever.
If Fulham start putting in the goals, it'll be obscene. It'll be like Scott Parker will cry.
I'd actually quite like to see that. Has anyone got like a little cousin or like nephew who cries over football? It's great. It's so entertaining to watch, and it's like it'd be that sort of feeling. Anyway, that's not football related. It's just me being a sick bad.
In terms of the battle for top four, West Ham are away at Brighton on Saturday night, which no one will watch because it's 8:00 on a Saturday night.
Oh, Lord.
And hopefully that ends, or is that gonna stay next season? Saturday night games.
I saw something today.
I thought that was an existential question. Hopefully that game ends at some point.
Well, that is also true. I just hope that the match ends at some point.
Just like a 40-year-old Suchek ambling around the pitch, I've been playing for 20 years. I don't know how to stop this.
That's so good. Just Dan Burn just being like, I get it. I need to go for a piss. Let this game finish.
Mark Noble still warming up, with a Zimmer frame.
Roy Hodgson's farewell tour, which seems to be accepted now that it is his farewell tour, goes to Selhurst Park and they're at home to Villa. I mean, that's got BBC game written all over it, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I feel so sorry for the BBC. They get given the worst games, don't they? Spurs against Wolves. Jide, what score are you going for?
8-0 to Wolves.
8. So go on.
No, I just don't know, mate. Hopefully 2-1 Wolves. Just stop it. Make it stop already. I'm tired.
Just make this. Just get rid of it. The only thing I would say that was interesting from the Spurs Leeds game last week was it was just the difference between having a coach and not having a coach. Because they just targeted the Spurs' was it right hand side with Bale and Aurier? They literally just kept putting the ball down there. I think they showed the split of the percentage breakdown of where the ball was being played. And I think it was about 55% down that side. So Bielsa must have just gone, just go at Aurier. Bale isn't going to cover.
Højbjerg had a real bad game as well. So yeah, it was just.
Well, he's another one that looks knackered.
Mm.
He's really tired. And then 2 more games left. West Brom against Liverpool. I mean, I think we're all going for Liverpool in that, aren't we?
No,
pretty much.
And finally, Everton against Sheffield United. How many goals will Everton score in the first half?
8. I'm going for 8.
Yeah, 8. Wow. Okay.
Just like Wolves. 8.
All right. Well, that's the fixtures wrapped. Next week we will go through our team of the season, which I'm looking forward to. I want some rogue choices, please, chaps.
Or we put in subs as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. How big's the bench?
5 or 7.
I can't do 7. That's
It's
so
got to be fun. Yeah,
many.
it's got to be classic. We did 26-man Premier League squads.
Oh no!
And 5 of them have got to be homegrown now.
Yeah. Please join us for our 8-hour extravaganza where we go through our 26 squads.
Like I was saying, get Task. I can't say his name now. Someone
Tarkowski.
else. Get him on the plane.
I was going to say, and that's the other thing we'll chat next week about who should get on this plane to the country that England are playing in. But
Danny Welbeck. I'm still looking at it. I've just watched that turn on repeat.
What an image of just your vape and just Danny Welbeck.
What crap?
People are going to start thinking we're related. Geez.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, thanks for watching, and we will be back about 7:00 next week.